Right now, on to the point. The fight over judges' warrants, the new reporting. When can ICE officers enter homes? Plus the plea from a Minnesota school district tonight after a 5-year-old is detained with his father. As children are detained, the conversations happening in our local community. And the redistricting battle inside the latest state to try to redraw their maps and where California's legal battle stands. Plus an update tonight in the lawsuit over gubernatorial candidate Congressman Eric Swalwell and the claim that he is not a California resident.
But first, we are starting with some breaking news. A crash and a shooting has left 2 people hurt in the area of Arden in Sacramento County. According to Sac Metro Fire, the crash happened on Fulton Avenue and Hurley Way, followed by a shooting. The 2 people were taken to the hospital. There is a heavy police presence, as you can see right there. As we get more information, we will bring it straight to you on air and online. As always, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. Within the last 24 hours, new reporting on a whistleblower complaint reveals a memo released internally by Immigration and Customs Enforcement suggesting that federal agents can forcibly enter people's homes without a judge's warrant, meaning that agents could rely on administrative warrants to make arrests instead of judicial warrants. Immigration advocates say that it is a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
ICE is saying we're going to blatantly ignore case law from the U.S. Supreme Court that says an independent party must make a decision at the judiciary to issue a warrant. And we're just going to rely on our own warrants signed off by our own people to bust down a door and go into a home.
Tonight, Homeland Security says, quote, every illegal alien who DHS serves administrative warrants had due process and a final order of removal from an immigration judge. The officers issuing these administrative warrants also have found probable cause. These scenes have been happening in Minneapolis all week. Federal officers are firing pepper spray and tear gas at protesters confronting Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino and preventing agents from entering convenience stores during their ongoing immigration crackdown. And in just a few minutes, make sure you stay with us. We have the story of one 5-year-old whose photo is being shared around the country. His school says that he was detained by federal agents alongside his father as they were driving home from school. They have concerns with some ICE tactics being too aggressive and also traumatizing for children. But first tonight, ABC 10's Roxanne Elias is live in Woodland. The school district there is holding a meeting about immigration enforcement. Good evening, Roxanne.
Good evening, Alex. That meeting just got started about 30 minutes ago in this room you see here behind me. Now, the board is planning on discussing an update to a policy they already have. This is in response to immigration enforcement. Now, they tell us this is all in compliance with the state. Now, earlier today in a statement that they did give us, the school district says all school districts are required to update their immigration enforcement policies by March 1st of 2026. This is to meet new state guidance. Having cleared board policies in place helps ensure consistent responses and reinforces our commitment to protecting students and being aligned with the most current law. In that policy, something new that was added is that no officer or employee of an agency conducting immigration enforcement shall be permitted to enter a non-public area of a school site for any purpose without first presenting a valid warrant, judicial subpoena, or court order. Also, that district staff shall review such documentation and comply only to the extent required by the law. We asked earlier to speak to some of the board members, and we will be here until they discuss that agenda item. We're hoping that at 11 o'clock tonight, we will bring you more information on that conversation and what was discussed. I'm live in Woodland. Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
All right, Roxanne, thank you so much. Well, today, Vice President J.D. Vance touched down in Minnesota. The administration is making it clear that it stands with law enforcement as immigration operations and protests continue.
Yes, come out and protest me, protest our immigration policy, but do it peacefully. If you assault a law enforcement officer, the Trump administration and the Department of Justice is going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
The vice president arrived shortly after the Department of Justice says that 3 people have been arrested following a disruption of church services out in St. Paul last weekend. One of them, Nakima Armstrong, previously told ABC News that she did it to call attention to one of the pastors who she says works with ICE. And if you do want to, and I do want to take you now to that story that we mentioned at the top of our show about a 5-year-old who was detained. A school district in Minnesota argues that some of the tactics that are being used by ICE are too aggressive and are traumatizing for young children. Gordon Severson has the story for us tonight.
Inside Valley View Elementary in Columbia Heights, there's a preschool classroom filled with 4- and 5-year-olds who may soon wonder what happened to one of their classmates, Liam Ramos.
He's a bright young student, and he's so kind.
Ella Sullivan is Liam's preschool teacher. She says her students haven't asked about Liam yet, but they will, and she and other teachers wonder how they can possibly answer their questions.
All I want is for him to be safe and back here.
The family's lawyer says Liam is likely being held with his father at a detention facility in Texas.
We have clients that once they're picked up, they're whisked away to the airport literally within hours.
School officials say Liam is one of 4 students who have been detained by ICE agents over the last 2 weeks, including another student who was also detained on Tuesday.
On the way to school, a 17-year-old high school student, a minor, was taken by armed, masked agents. Alone. No parents were present.
Superintendent Zena Stenvik says the other 2 students include another 17-year-old and her mother, who were detained by ICE last week, and a 10-year-old girl who was also detained with her mother on their way to school 2 weeks ago.
And by the end of the school day, they were already in a detention center in Texas, and they are still there.
He's terrified.
Pastor Sergio Amezcua is also working with Liam's family. He says many in the Latino community are deeply concerned about children being taken by federal agents.
Let Child Protection Services take care of them while the parents battle the legal battle.
Amezcua says many in the community are now afraid to leave their homes. His church has now received food delivery requests from more than 27,000 families who are scared to go to the grocery store.
ICE agents have been roaming our neighborhoods, circling our schools, following our buses, coming into our parking lots and taking our children. And our hearts are shattered.
Now, when it comes to 5-year-old Liam Ramos, the Ramos family lawyer says that Liam and his family have been following the law as they are seeking asylum to become legal U.S. citizens. The lawyer says that he is working to bring Liam back to live with his remaining family members in Minnesota while legal proceedings play out. Still ahead onto the point, the redistricting battle. The new request tonight as the Supreme Court considers hearing California's Prop 50. And grocery stores cleared out. The views in Texas tonight ahead of a historic ice storm.
We'll talk more about the ice storm on the other side of the break. But here at home, we'll have more dense fog tonight. Only a little bit of clearing expected tomorrow. Things likely change this weekend, though. I'll take a full look at that forecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight, former special counsel Jack Smith, who led investigations into Trump's alleged 2020 election interference, alleging mishandling of classified documents, testified publicly for the first time today. The Republican-led House Judiciary Committee is investigating Smith and members of his team over the Trump indictments. Smith, defending his investigations, told the House Judiciary Committee he believes the president broke the law. Republicans say Smith's probe was politically motivated. The U.S. is officially out of the World Health Organization. The Trump administration says the withdrawal is now complete, with all U.S. funding ended and personnel recalled. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to announce that the U.S. would leave the WHO. By law, the U.S. had to give a year's notice and pay all outstanding fees before it left. The U.S. still owes about $260 million, but global health law experts say it's unlikely the WHO will be able to force payment. And Senator Adam Schiff visiting state lawmakers this week in Sacramento to discuss priorities and the state budget deficit, saying there could be a big hole to dig out with federal funding changes in the big, beautiful bill.
It's a huge problem. There's really no sugarcoating it. So those discussions are going on as a part of the appropriation process in Congress. We hope to restore some of the funding we've taken away from the states.
You can find more of his interview with ABC 10's Jenny Huh on abc10.com.
Take a look at this. A looming ice and snowstorm that could impact millions from the south to the northeast could reportedly be the worst in modern history in some areas. Emergencies have already been declared, and you can see here preparations are definitely underway. Tonight, millions are stocking up on food and supplies. Richard Solomon from our sister station in Dallas is in a very busy grocery store tonight.
I'm in North Richland Hills, Texas, about 40 minutes away from Dallas if you're not familiar with the area. And right now it is go time as we prepare for this blast of winter weather. I'm in a Kroger right now, and I want to show you just what you could expect to see if you are down here in Texas or different parts of the country that will get this weather. You can see these long lines. This is what they're expecting. Carts almost filled up to the top with the essential items. A representative I spoke with says these are really the things that are going fast. You have your milk, bread, cases of water, things that'll keep you safe if you do have to hunker down. Another thing we learned today, if you do come up to an aisle and you see some are bare, don't worry, because they have crews working to refill these aisles almost every minute throughout the day. I'm told trucks are leaving distribution centers nightly to hit stores and make sure they have the items they need for the next day.
All right, let's get things over to meteorologist Brendan Minchef taking a closer look at this storm. And you're very familiar with Texas.
Yeah, I worked in Texas for a couple of years, and I was there in the February 2021 winter storm. Every single county, all 200 plus counties in Texas under a winter storm warning. This winter storm is not going to be to that level, but definitely it is going to cause a lot of trouble for West Texas, Central Texas, and in North Texas. So this system here that brought us the clouds yesterday will be moving through the Lone Star State as we head into the weekend. And then it's going to continue to trek off to the east. So we're going to be seeing rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow all the way through the parts of the deep south into the Carolinas, parts of the mid-Atlantic. This is Saturday afternoon. You see that pink color. That's freezing rain and sleet all the way from about Midland, Texas, out in West Texas, all the way in towards Nashville, Tennessee, North Georgia. This is going to be in some places, unbelievably for us here in California, several inches of ice. So look at all the winter weather advisories, the winter storm watches, and then the pink there, the winter storm warnings stretching from West Texas and the Southern Plains all the way into places like Nashville, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Ohio River Valley, and then all these blue areas are likely going to be becoming a winter storm warning pretty soon. Zooming into parts of Mississippi, though, you see that darker purple, that's an ice storm warning. 1 to 3 inches of ice is expected for these areas. So obviously that means driving is going to be an impossibility, but also it only takes half an inch of ice to start bringing down power lines. There's a lot of potential for power outages across parts of the country this weekend. Here in California, though, we don't have to worry about any of that. 53 right now. That is warmer than this time yesterday, and a large part of that is because we saw the sun for the first time in a few days. The fog has lifted for most of the valley for now, but as we head through the evening hours, that fog is going to return, and it is going to be dense in some places. We've got a dense fog advisory out because, once again, Friday morning starting off foggy. There is that dense fog advisory, temperatures in the 40s in the morning, and we'll likely be in those mid-50s by the time we get to Friday afternoon. For us, that's, again, that system that starts to move out. It doesn't mean anything for us anymore. This high pressure starts to build in behind it. What we're going to see develop as we go Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday is a northerly flow that's going to help clear out the valley, bring it into the fog at least for a little bit, and improve some air quality. Then that high pressure continues to scoot east, and we could be looking at some rain chances by the time we get towards Wednesday and the end of next week and into next weekend. So no snow, no ice, no cold temperatures, just more or less more of the same for us here in Northern California, Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, new developments tonight in the legal fight over whether Congressman and gubernatorial hopeful Eric Swalwell actually qualifies as a California resident. And in our Champions of Hope, the rescue team is stepping into action in the Sierra snow. Welcome back in. New updates tonight on a lawsuit challenging California's Proposition 50, which voters passed in the November special election, something we've covered very heavily here on To The Point. Prop 50 is being challenged by the Republican Party, who alleges this is unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. A federal court earlier this month upheld Prop 50, a decision the Republican Party appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court on Thursday notified both parties they are reviewing the request and have now asked the defendants, Governor Newsom and fellow Democrats, to respond by next Thursday to the request for an emergency injunction. It is still unclear, though, at this time if the Supreme Court will take up this case, something we'll continue to follow closely. All right, out in Maryland, they are now redrawing their congressional maps. Their proposed congressional map for its 8 districts has just been unveiled, and politically speaking, it's not being embraced with open arms. They are now targeting their state's only Republican congressman. Here is what Maryland's governor, Democrat Wes Moore, has to say.
And I think the maps that were released is something that is not just going to make our congressional maps more competitive, but it's also something that actually is the will of the people.
Maryland's proposal would need their state's legislative approval. Now, the Associated Press has been tracking which states are considering redistricting. Take a look at this map right here. The states being targeted by Democrats are in blue, and the states being targeted by Republicans are in red. They are either considering changing their congressional maps or have already adopted a new map. Turning now to an update on a story that we brought you just earlier this week. We are now hearing from the man behind the lawsuit who claims Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Eric Swalwell is not a California resident. Joel Gilbert is a conservative filmmaker who filed the lawsuit. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to tell us what he had to say about the case and the updated response from Swalwell's team as well.
Alex, Joe Gilbert tells me Congressman Eric Swalwell should not run for governor because he's not qualified and he doesn't live in this state. Gilbert says he's calling for the Secretary of State to properly vet candidates and to obey the California Constitution. Now, the lawsuit claims Swalwell has not lived in California for years and calls for him to drop out of the gubernatorial race. Gilbert claims Swalwell permanently lives in Washington, D.C. and says his California home address on his candidate intention form is an office building in Sacramento. Because of these things, Gilbert believes Swalwell is disqualified from being California's next governor. Swalwell's campaign consultant tells ABC 10 it's legal to list a campaign office for legal filings due to the thousands of death threats he receives.
You're required to give your home address so that the Secretary of State can vet you properly. I can assure you, I know a lot of conservatives do not make death threats. Death threats come from people on the left.
Now, Swalwell wasn't available for an interview today, but his campaign consultant tells ABC 10 once again it's legal to list a campaign office as the address for his legal filings, adding that Swalwell has always had a residence in the Bay Area, and this nonsense claim comes from a MAGA blogger who made a film claiming Elvis is alive. Now, Alex, Joel Gilbert tells me that, Eric Swalwell says he's looking forward to beating Joel Gilbert in court. Alex.
All right, Jeannie, thank you so much. We appreciate that update. Coming up right after the break, people are already lining up for the new Costco in Roseville. Well, years of planning paying off tomorrow morning with the opening of a new Costco out in West Roseville. Campers already started showing up early this morning for tomorrow's opening. Yeah, you heard that right. They're telling us today that they are actually after deals on high-end whiskey. That warehouse opens tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. We will have coverage throughout the day right here on ABC 10. And finally tonight in our Champions of Hope, we are introducing you to a group of people who show up when others really need it the most, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Team. Now made up of nearly 100 dedicated volunteers, this nonprofit team works alongside sworn deputies and coordinators, responding calls for help in some of the most challenging terrain. And just this month alone, they've already carried out several rescues, like a mom, dad, and their 2 children who spent the day snowshoeing in the Tahoe National Forest near the Castle Peak area when they lost their way. And as the sun went down, those temperatures started to drop. They realized that they needed to call for help.
So in this, we deployed a snowcat as well as a tracked side-by-side in the area. And our teams were eventually able to make it up to the family, get them in the snowcat, get them warmed up, and we took them back to Interstate 80, back to their vehicles. So all in all, it was a simple rescue, but it is cold. It's a good experience for some to go through. It's kind of eye-opening to a lot of people if they're going out in the backcountry, to come prepared.
And that wasn't the only rescue the team handled this month. They deployed 32 search and rescue volunteers. They had Jeep teams, CHP Air, and also drone teams working together through the night to rescue a missing 76-year-old in the Powerhouse Road area who is alive and well.
It's always great. I mean, that's why we all come to work every day, is to help the community. Working with our search and rescue team, that's been my primary responsibility for the past couple of years, and it's amazing to see. We have a very strong group of volunteers that are giving up their own time. They're stepping away from their families for free to come out there and facilitate a rescue.
And it's also a powerful reminder of what is possible when community comes together to help. And I do want to share some tips from Sergeant Moe for those of you who might be going up to the high country, whether it's snow or summer. Here are some things that he says. He says, make sure you have a good plan, bring extra supplies as if you're going to be staying the night on the trip, and make sure you always share your route with family and friends so they know exactly where you are. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And if you missed any stories or any shows, you can always download our free ABC 10 app straight to your phone or your TV. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.